What if I told you that one of the world's most powerful forces is being completely overlooked, a force so strong that it could change the course of history? But the world refuses to admit its full potential. You may not see it at first glance because this strength isn't about wealth, military power, or resources. It's not about dominance in the conventional sense. It's about something deeper, something more profound. India's hidden force. For too long, the world has focused on India's challenges, poverty, infrastructure, corruption, and bureaucracy. But behind these struggles, there lies a force that is quietly shaping the future, an invisible engine that is propelling India forward in ways that most of the world is too blind to see. This force is not just the ambition of its people, it is the nation's resilience, its ability to adapt, and most importantly, its hidden talent. This is India's greatest strength, and the world is afraid to admit it. Let's start with India's people. India is a country of contradictions. You've got the brightest minds in technology and the deepest poverty you can imagine. But beneath these contradictions, there is an incredible youth that drives the nation. Over 65% of India's population is under the age of 35. That is more than 900 million people. Think about that for a moment. 900 million people hungry for opportunity, hungry for change, eager to create something that has never been done before. This is not a statistic. It's a force of nature. The West looks at India and sees poverty, but what it misses is the raw potential of a young, ambitious, and highly adaptable population. India's youth is its greatest asset. They are problem solvers, innovators, and entrepreneurs. What many people don't realize is that India produces more engineers, doctors, and scientists than any other country in the world. The real story is that a growing number of these brilliant minds are choosing to stay in India and build businesses rather than moving to Silicon Valley. This shift is a game-changer. The brain drain that once plagued India has now been reversed, and the results are visible everywhere. India is quickly becoming the world's next Silicon Valley, not just as a tech outsourcing hub, but as a global leader in innovation. But it's not just about technology. India's real strength lies in its ability to adapt. Look at the way India has embraced digital transformation. The world looks at India and still thinks of it as a place of slow development, a place that can't keep up with the likes of China, the US, or Europe. But India is moving at a speed that those countries never saw coming. UPI, India's digital payment system, is not just the largest in the world. It's the most efficient, the most inclusive. It's a system that works for everyone from the small-time vendor in a village to the CEO of a multinational corporation, and it is changing the way the entire country thinks about finance. India didn't wait for Silicon Valley to come to it. It built its own system. India didn't wait for the Western world to dictate its future. It created its own path. This adaptability isn't just in technology or finance. It's in everything India touches. While the rest of the world was bogged down by bureaucracy and slow-moving institutions, India was fast, agile, and willing to take risks. India doesn't wait for the perfect conditions. It builds them. The Aadhaar project, for example, is the largest biometric identification system in the world. It has provided millions of Indians with access to financial services, health care, and education. And it was done faster, cheaper, and with greater scale than any other country could have achieved. But it's not just about systems and infrastructure. It's about the mindset of India's people. India's resilience is the kind that comes from years of hardship, years of struggle, and years of learning how to thrive against the odds. For centuries, India has been under foreign rule, and even after gaining independence, it has been burdened by poverty, corruption, and political instability. Yet, despite all this, India has never stopped moving forward. It's a country that refuses to stay down, a nation that rises every time it falls. That resilience is what drives India's hidden force. India's hidden force isn't just about the ability to survive. It's about the ability to adapt and thrive. This country has taken its challenges and turned them into opportunities. Take India's startup ecosystem. It is growing at a pace that most developed nations can't keep up with. Every day, new businesses are being born, new products are being created, and new solutions are being delivered. From e-commerce giants like Flipkart to food delivery services like Zomato, India is shaping the future of entrepreneurship, not by copying the West, but by creating something entirely new, something that works for its people and its economy. And the best part, India's startup culture is built on innovation, not imitation. What the world doesn't see because it's too focused on India's challenges is that India's problems are actually opportunities. The energy shortages, that's an opportunity to lead in renewable energy. The massive rural population with limited access to education and healthcare. That's an opportunity to build digital platforms that bring services to the doorsteps of millions. The overpopulation. That's an opportunity to become a global powerhouse in talent. India has built the strength of resilience and adaptability into its very DNA. And the truth is, the world is afraid to admit India's hidden strength. The world is afraid of a country that doesn't need the West to thrive. A country that doesn't need approval from anyone to rise. The truth is, the real power of India lies in its people. In their ability to innovate, to adapt, and to build, and that power, that hidden force is something the world is starting to wake up to. India is no longer just a passive player. It is a force that is quietly yet swiftly changing the game. The question now is, how long will the world continue to underestimate this power? India's rise is unstoppable. And the real question is, will the world get on board, or will it sit back and watch as India reshapes the future? India's power doesn't just come from its people's resilience or adaptability. It comes from its demographics. This is where the hidden force of India becomes undeniably powerful. Over 65% of India's population is under the age of 35. Imagine that for a moment over 900 million people who are young, hungry for opportunity, and eager to build a future that is theirs. This isn't just a statistic. It's a demographic tsunami, and this wave is carrying India into the future. Not slowly, but at an unstoppable pace. The sheer size of India's youth population is one of its greatest strengths. When the world talks about aging populations in the West and East, they fail to realize that India's young workforce is not just waiting to catch up. It's building, creating, and leading, and this generation is not content with just surviving. They want to innovate. They want to change the world, and they are doing it. Think about the talent coming out of India today. India has become the largest producer of engineers, scientists, and doctors in the world. But the most exciting thing is that this talent is no longer just going abroad. The brain drain that once plagued India is now reversing. More and more highly educated, highly talented Indians are choosing to stay in India and build businesses rather than move to Silicon Valley or London. This is not just a change, it's a transformation. The next generation of entrepreneurs, innovators, and disruptors is choosing to stay and build India's future. Look at what's happening in India's tech ecosystem. Companies like Flipkart, Zomato, Swiggy, Pay, and Freshworks have all emerged from this new generation of Indian entrepreneurs. These companies didn't just copy models from the West. They built something entirely new, and their success is not just local. It's global. Indian tech startups are no longer just serving the local market. They are reaching the entire world. The Indian tech revolution is happening at such a fast pace that the West is only now waking up to the fact that India's innovation ecosystem is on par with Silicon Valley. One of the most striking examples of this is India's fintech revolution. The Unified Payments Interface UPI, which connects over 1 billion people, has transformed India's payment system into the most efficient and scalable in the world. This is not just a digital payment system, it is the backbone of a digital economy that has enabled millions of small businesses to thrive. It is also a model of innovation that has yet to be replicated by any other nation. While the West debates about outdated systems, India is busy leapfrogging into the future. And that is India's secret weapon. It doesn't have to copy anyone else. It just innovates. UPI is just the beginning of a digital revolution that will not only reshape India's economy, but will set the blueprint for the world. But it's not just about technology and finance. India's hidden strength is its ability to leapfrog traditional models. While China built its strength on mass production and manufacturing, India is carving out its own path. India is building high-quality, scalable, and sustainable solutions across renewable energy, biotech, AI, and space technology. And it is doing all of this with a focus on sustainability and self-reliance, making it a true global powerhouse in these sectors. Let's talk about renewable energy for a moment. India's push for clean energy is not just about meeting domestic needs. It is about positioning India as a global leader in green technology. India has become the world's third largest producer of renewable energy, and its solar energy capacity is growing faster than any other country. While many Western countries are struggling to meet their climate goals, India is pushing forward using its natural resources to become the global leader in renewable energy. The country's vast deserts in Rajasthan and Gujarat are now home to some of the world's largest solar farms. But India is not stopping there. It's also pioneering in battery technology, electric vehicles, EVs, and green hydrogen, sectors that will shape the future of energy production worldwide. And then there is biotechnology. During the pandemic, India showed the world what it was truly capable of. The country's pharmaceutical industry is the largest supplier of vaccines and generic medicines in the world. India's ability to produce medicines at a fraction of the cost of Western nations and deliver them to developing countries is one of its most powerful hidden strengths. But this industry is now moving beyond generics. India is becoming a leader in biotech innovation, investing heavily in genomics, mRNA technologies, and advanced medical treatments. The world is already looking to India for the next generation of medical breakthroughs, and the country's strength in this sector will continue to grow. India's biotech and healthcare industries are not just about cheap production. They are about leading the world in innovation. What is happening in AI and digital technology in India is no less revolutionary. India is building the next generation of AI and machine learning systems that are uniquely suited to its population, economy, and challenges. Indian AI startups are solving problems in agriculture, healthcare, and education, problems that the West often ignores. The low-cost, high-value solutions that India is developing are addressing real-world needs, creating a massive opportunity for India to lead the global AI race. And as India builds its own digital economy, it is also becoming a major player in cybersecurity, data analytics, and the global digital economy. This is the future of India, a nation that no longer needs to import solutions. It is now the solution provider for the world. India is also making waves in space exploration. While China's space program has garnered much attention, India's space agency, ISRO, has quietly become one of the most efficient and cost-effective space agencies in the world. India's Mars orbiter missions. Mangalan was one of the most successful and cost-effective space missions ever launched. The country's achievements in space are not just about national pride. They are about positioning India as a leader in space technology. As the world's demand for satellites, space exploration, and space services grows, India is on track to become a dominant force in this sector as well. So let's take a moment to put this all together. India's hidden strength is not just its people, but its ability to create, innovate, and lead in industries that most people thought were beyond its reach. India is not just playing catch-up with the West or China. It is creating its own path, a path that is uniquely suited to its strengths, its challenges, and its vision for the future. India is quietly building a new global order, one where technology, innovation, and sustainability are the driving forces, and where the old rules of economic dominance are being rewritten. The world is starting to see that India is no longer a nation defined by its problems. It is a nation defined by its solutions. And that is India's true strength, the ability to solve problems on a global scale, whether it's through digital payments, clean energy, or biotech. India is leading the way. And the best part, India is doing it with resilience, creativity, and a relentless drive to innovate. The world may have underestimated India for years, but it's only a matter of time before that changes. As India continues to solidify its position as a global powerhouse, the real question becomes, how will its growing influence shape the world? India's technological advances, its demographic strength, and its ability to innovate across industries are no longer just regional issues. They are transforming global power dynamics, and while China may have dominated Asia for decades, India is now positioning itself not only as a regional leader, but as a global superpower. The most shocking part, the world is underestimating just how quickly India is gaining ground. India's rise is not only about economic growth or innovation. It is about geopolitical strategy, how India is positioning itself to become a major global player in the next decade. For decades, the United States and China have been the key players in shaping the world order, but India is emerging as the third pillar, not as a rival, but as a partner to both sides. The world may still be focused on the US-China rivalry, but India is quietly crafting its own future and becoming the indispensable bridge between the East and West. One of the key ways India is asserting its power is through its growing role in global trade and diplomacy. While China has relied on its massive economic influence to shape global trade routes, India is now building its own network of partnerships, alliances, and trade agreements that challenge China's dominance. This is happening through India's increasing presence in global organizations like the United Nations, the World Trade Organization, a WTO, and the Bereshes Group of Emerging Economies. But perhaps the most significant shift is India's growing influence in Southeast Asia, Africa, and Latin America, regions that China has long considered its sphere of influence. While China's Belt and Road Initiative Barride sought to build infrastructure and create economic dependencies across these regions, India is taking a different approach. India's model is one of mutual respect, shared growth, and sustainable development. India is building strategic partnerships with countries in these regions, offering trade deals, investments, and technology transfer without the strings attached to China's berry. This is where India's model stands apart. It is about empowerment, not control, and this shift in global trade is already visible. India's free trade agreements, AFTAs with countries in ASEAN, the Middle East and Africa are making it a hub of commerce by passing China's old role as the gateway to these markets. India is also playing a pivotal role in regional trade organizations like the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RC, and Indo-Pacific trade deals, setting the stage for a future where India leads the way in shaping trade policy in the East. This is a direct challenge to China, whose Belt and Road Initiative was supposed to be the answer to global trade routes. But India's influence is not just economic, it's cultural. India's soft power, its ability to influence through culture, ideas, and values, is one of its most powerful yet overlooked strengths. Think of Bollywood, India's film industry, which is the largest in the world by the number of films produced. Every year, millions of people across the globe watch Indian films, listen to Indian music, and read Indian literature. And while China has its own version of cultural export, India's culture is uniquely inclusive, relatable, and diverse. India's cultural diplomacy is gaining traction not just in Asia, but in Africa, the Middle East, and Latin America. Indian music, literature, and spirituality are inspiring a global audience, positioning India as not just an economic powerhouse, but as a global cultural leader. The popularity of Indian spirituality, yoga, and philosophy is growing rapidly in the West, turning India into a cultural hub of knowledge, tradition, and innovation. This cultural influence is shaping how the world views India no longer as a country of poverty and struggle, but as a nation of hope, creativity, and intellectual wealth. India's influence is also expanding in the technology sector, where it is quietly becoming a leader in artificial intelligence, AI, data science, and space technology. As the global demand for AI solutions increases, India is positioning itself as a provider of solutions, not just a consumer. India's AI startups, its government-backed initiatives in tech innovation, and its push for digital infrastructure are changing the way the world thinks about India's role in the global economy. India's space agency, ISRO, has already launched successful missions to Mars and the Moon. It is also helping to build satellite infrastructure for other nations, further cementing its place as a global leader in space technology. But what makes India's rise even more interesting is its strategic position in the global order. Unlike China, which has largely operated under a centralized authoritarian system, India is positioning itself as a democratic counterpoint to China's rise. India's strength lies in its ability to bring together diversity, democracy, and development in a way that China can't replicate. While China's rise has been centered around control and expansion, India's rise is about cooperation, collaboration, and inclusive growth. And that's a message the world is increasingly willing to listen to. India's geopolitical strategy is also reflected in its growing alliances with the United States, Japan, and Australia. The Quad Alliance, comprising the 4 democracies of the Indo-Pacific, is a powerful force in shaping the future of the region. India is at the center of this alliance, balancing the influence of China and ensuring that the Indo-Pacific remains free, open, and prosperous. India's involvement in the Quad shows the world that it is not just an emerging power, it is an emerging leader. While China may have used its economic might to build influence across the globe, India is now showing that leadership doesn't come from dominance. It comes from the ability to collaborate, to build trust, and to uplift others. India's growing role in international trade, its leadership in clean energy, and its cultural exports are laying the foundation for a future where India will not just be a player on the global stage. It will define the future of the global order. In this new world, the old rivalries will fade and the world will move towards multipolarity. India's role in this shift is undeniable. It is offering a new path, a path where countries don't have to choose between East and West, but can work together to build a better future. India is the bridge, the connector, the leader that will create new opportunities for millions around the world. India's strength lies in its ability to combine technology, culture, and democracy in a way that the world cannot ignore. And as the global balance of power shifts, India is positioned not just to compete with China, but to lead the way toward a future where all nations can grow together. So as we look toward the next decade, remember this: India is not just rising, it is transforming the world. And as it rises, it will take the rest of us with it, creating a world that is more interconnected, more innovative, and more inclusive than we could have ever imagined. As we stand on the precipice of this new world order, it's crucial to understand what is happening. India's rise is not just about a shift in economic power. It is about a shift in global consciousness, in the very way we think about leadership, innovation, and growth. India's hidden strength has now been exposed, and what we see is not just a country catching up. It's a country defining its own path and showing the world that a new model is possible. Imagine a world where global power doesn't rest in the hands of one or two superpowers. Imagine a world where countries don't have to choose sides between the East and the West, but instead work together to solve the world's biggest challenges. That's the vision India is offering us, a vision of a multipolar world where cooperation, not control, drives progress. And that vision is already becoming a reality. India is not just rising in isolation. It is rising alongside Africa, Latin America, and other emerging regions. As India's influence grows, it pulls others up with it. This is the future of global power. A world where no one nation holds all the cards, but where multiple powers work together to create a better, more prosperous future for all. But the truth is, India's rise is not just a global shift, it's a personal one too. It's a shift in mindset. For centuries, India has been told that it is too poor, too backward, too fragmented. It's been said that it cannot lead, that it can only follow. But today, that narrative is being rewritten. India is showing the world that anything is possible when a nation believes in its own potential. It is showing us that innovation comes from necessity, that resilience can turn any obstacle into an opportunity, and that leadership is about empowering others, not about domination. In the coming decades, the world will look to India not just as an economic powerhouse, but as a moral leader. As India continues to grow, it will lead the way in sustainability, in technology, and in democracy. India will show the world that economic growth doesn't have to come at the expense of the environment, that progress doesn't have to mean exploitation, and that growth can be inclusive, serving everyone, not just the few. This is the India we see emerging in India, that is not only lifting itself, but is lifting the world. And as India continues to rise, it will do so with a sense of purpose that the world has not seen for the nation's deep history of spirituality. Philosophy and wisdom will become its guiding light, showing the world that true power doesn't come from control or fear. It comes from trust, from connection, and from a willingness to build something that benefits everyone. This is the India that the world is about to see, not just as a competitor to China or the United States, but as a leader in its own right. The world will look to India not just for solutions, but for inspiration. India will offer a new blueprint for what it means to be a global leader, one that is rooted in diversity, inclusiveness, and hope. So as we close today, I want you to ask yourself, what will this new world look like when India is at the center of it? When a country of 4 billion people full of young minds, creative spirits, and determined hearts decides to lead. What will the future look like when the power of democracy, innovation, and sustainability replaces the power of domination and control? The answer is simple. It will be a better world. It will be a world where nations are not divided by borders, where power is not concentrated in the hands of the few, and where prosperity is shared by all. India's rise is not just a victory for India. It is a victory for humanity. It is a chance to build something new, something better, and something more connected than anything we've ever seen before. And so, let me leave you with this. India is not just rising, it is leading. The future that we are entering is one where India's strength, innovation, and wisdom will guide the world into an era of peace, prosperity, and shared growth. The India of the future is not just the world's largest democracy, it is the world's greatest opportunity. As India takes its rightful place in the world, it will show us all that true leadership is not about taking more. It's about giving more. It's about creating a world where everyone can rise. And that, my friends, is the most exciting part of India's rise. It's not just about India's success, it's about the success of the world. India's rise is not a story of competition with other nations. It is a story of cooperation. It is a story of how one country's rise can help lift the entire world. And in the years to come, we will look back and see that the India we are witnessing today was not just a passing moment. It was the beginning of something far greater, a future where hope and opportunity are available to everyone regardless of their background or where they come from. The future is here, and that future is India.